We're excited to talk about the new Black Series and Vintage Collection figures revealed at the Hasbro Pulse San Diego Comic-Con panel and livestream. Varykino. If it's Star Wars, we collect it. Hello there. Thanks for visiting Varykino. I'm Kristy.
And I'm Matt.
San Diego Comic-Con 2024 is taking place this weekend. Yesterday, Hasbro had their Star Wars panel, followed by a live stream where they revealed upcoming Black Series and the Vintage Collection figures.
We're going to talk about each of the figures, playsets, or beasts that were revealed in the orders that they were revealed. Many of these toys are already available for pre-order. If that is the case, we'll have links below in the video description. The Hasbro Pulse live stream was run by 3 Hasbro staff members that we're quite familiar with from previous live streams: Jing from marketing, Chris, the design manager, and Eric, also from product design. The live stream ran through the new figure reveals based on the streaming series each was originating from, beginning with the Acolyte, 2 new Black Series figures from this series. The Black Series Jedi Master Venestra Rowe, Acolyte figure number 08. This figure was actually revealed the day prior at the Lucasfilm Publishing panel because there is a lot of material, tie-in material from the Acolyte and the High Republic coming through Lucasfilm Publishing at the moment. Venestra will be a mainline figure coming out in the Northern Hemisphere spring of 2025. Pre-orders are available now.
Some of the figure details include a PVC skirt, soft goods robe, and inkjet head tattoo printing.
She also comes with her purple-pink lightsaber. Just the lightsaber version, not the light whip version, important to note.
Personally, I'm a little bit disappointed that Hasbro didn't at least attempt a light whip version of her lightsaber here. We know that they can do differently molded translucent plastic. I'm thinking, of course, of the force lightning effects that come with many figures made out of that blue translucent plastic. They could have sculpted a fixed sort of zigzag light whip sort of a shape in there as a swap out for her classic lightsaber. I am really excited that we are getting Venestra in the Black Series line, though. She was one of my picks for the next sort of wave 2 of figures from the Acolyte. Overall, the preview images show some really cool details. I think this one is going to be really neat to get in hand and put her alongside those first 6 figures from the Black Series range from the Acolyte. I think she looks really cool.
Also from the Acolyte in the Black Series, Basil, the Jedi Order tracker. Acolyte figure number 7 will be a mainline figure, also coming out in the Northern Hemisphere spring of 2025. Pre-orders are available now.
Some of Basil's details include an articulated visor, and he also comes with the little pip droid as well. Basil was, again, one of my picks for the second wave for the Acolyte series. Not the highest one on my personal wish list, but he was such a featured character. I think it's great that he is in the line. A very unique sculpt and different character here.
There are not many non-Jedi characters that we're going to be seeing in this line all up, I don't think, but it is nice to start seeing them come through with this character in particular. Next up, we have 2 Black Series figures from Season 1 of Andor. Andor figure number 10 is Cassian Andor, no less, coming out through mainline distribution in the Northern Hemisphere fall of this year. There's no pre-order at the time of recording for this one, however. This is a completely new sculpt of Cassian Andor. He comes with 2 blasters and some really nice sculpting on his apparel and his face detail.
They really emphasized the effort that they had gone into really improving the likeness of this particular Cassian figure compared to earlier versions. I really do think they're really refining the way that they can really sculpt their characters' likenesses.
As noted, this is only figure number 10 from the Andor line. There's quite a few characters from this line that would really love to see come through in figure format. Not surprising and actually well received that we're seeing another Cassian Andor sculpt with a new costume.
I know perhaps with the second series in production, perhaps Lucasfilm and Hasbro are waiting to do more figures from this line to tie in with the release of that second series, where we could get merchandise from Series 1 to kind of help build the hype around the second season. So I understand why they might not be doing some more. I'm just very impatient. I love the show. I want more figures from it. Yeah,
we should be actually seeing these on retailer shelves at about the time we're hearing more about Season 2 of Andor later in the year, I think. And the next reveal from the Andor line is Dedra Meero, Andor figure number 12, another mainline figure coming out later this year, Northern Hemisphere fall of 2024, and again, no pre-order at the time of recording for this one. So Dedra is obviously an Imperial Security Bureau character. She is based on a modified Imperial sculpt with a lot of modifications to actually accurately represent this character. She comes with a blaster and a data pad.
She is such an important and really interesting character from the Andor series. I'm really happy that she's finally being added to the Andor lineup from the Black series. I don't think this one's terribly complicated. She might hang around a little bit because she does look like an Imperial officer, and we've seen what other Black Series Imperial officer figures do on the shelves, like Tala from the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. But I think Deirdre was so fun. I really like the likeness here and the details. I definitely want to be grabbing this one as soon as I find her.
Yeah, I know it is just technically another Imperial officer costume, but somehow she really feels quite important to the lineup, so I'm really glad that we've got her added in at this point. 3 figures to talk about from the Ahsoka live-action series, 2 vintage collection and 1 Black series, starting off with Grand Admiral Thrawn VC337, a mainline figure coming out in Northern Hemisphere Fall 2024. Pre-orders are available now. So this version of Thrawn is based on his live-action likeness, and they've even enhanced his skin tone to fully match his appearance in the Ahsoka series. He also comes with a blaster.
I remember being a little bit disappointed when the Ahsoka series TVC figures hit store shelves here, and there was a Rebels Thrawn in that assortment, and I thought, oh, I really want a live action Thrawn, having just seen him in the Ahsoka series. I guess as things are, he was kept out of production for spoiler reasons. We didn't really see him in the trailer until right just before the series aired, but I'm so happy we finally have him. I think the tooling and the face work on this figure is absolutely fantastic. Again, another Imperial officer, but he's kind of like the king of Imperial sort of officers in terms of sculpts, up there with Grand Moff Tarkin in terms of how important he is. This one is definitely not going to be a pig war. I really want this figure. I think it looks incredible. He's going to be one of those ones that's going to be so tempting to buy twice, one to keep carded and one to open.
The portrait on this card back is really, really tidy. It's a really nice representation of the character. It is a little bit interesting that we're seeing multiple versions of Thrawn coming out in quite close proximity to each other from the Rebels and now from the live action. But he is a beloved character going right back to his first appearances in the Timothy Zahn novels of the 90s. Also in the vintage collection, Ahsoka Tano in her white robes, her Peridia version, VC338, a mainline figure coming out in the Northern Hemisphere Fall 2024. Pre-order is available now. She comes with 2 lightsabers. This figure features new or updated tooling and details, including the longer Leku that we saw, because as you know, her appearance changed a little bit from her earlier appearances in The Mandalorian and her appearances in the Ahsoka show.
Interestingly, this figure does not come with a robe cloak version like we see in the show, and I think that was potentially a bit of a missed opportunity. She does wear that white cloak a lot in those latter episodes of the show. So I saw some speculation that might be a deluxe version down the line. Yeah. She also doesn't come with lightsaber hilts or any way of attaching her lightsabers to her belt, which is, again, interesting. A lot of times, particularly in the 3.75-inch line, we've got little pig holes to attach separate hilts to the belt, and then lit lightsabers as separate accessories. This Ahsoka does not appear to have those, so she's either going to be standing there with her blades out or none at all, which is kind of an interesting mix.
Having said that, there's some really nice costume details on the sculpt around the belt, around the hips, and the fabric appearances, forearm gauntlets and so forth. There's some really, really nice sculpting that I'm quite impressed by on the whole.
I really do appreciate the way that Hasbro manages to preserve the fabric draping around her knees and legs. She has quite flowy pants in this show, which can be a little bit tricky when things are not tightly fitted around joins. We can see from those promotional images that the flow down the front of the legs is undisrupted with the articulation in the back. I do really like that. I think this figure looks really good. She's got so many details going on. I really like the backing card for this figure as well. As an Ahsoka fan and collector, this is one I know I'm going to be buying twice, one to keep carded and one to open for my display.
So the Peridia white-robed version of Ahsoka looks very tidy in the vintage collection line. She's also going to be released in the Black Series line. This will be a mainline figure also coming out in the Northern Hemisphere Fall of 2024. Pre-orders are available now. She'll be number 11 in the Ahsoka line. This figure comes with 2 lightsabers again. Because she has Black Series, presumably they will have removable blades. The lightsabers also seem to have little loops on the hilts with associated hooks on their belt for them to attach to.
It's a shame that there's such a difference in the accessories between the TVC version of Ahsoka and this Black Series version. Personally, I think the removable blades on the Black Series version does make this one a little bit better. We don't have those just standard hilts in the TVC version, so you have to pose her with her blades ignited. The Black Series version, you've got the options of hanging just her hilts off her belt. I do get a little anxious removing the blades off my Black Series lightsabers. Personally, I wish Hasbro would just give us both the hilts and ignited sabers accessories. It's not a lot of plastic, but at least we do have both options with Black Series because the blades are removable, whereas they are fixed on the 3.75-inch figures. Both of the actual Ahsoka figures from the TVC and Black Series look amazing. I really, really like this version of Ahsoka's outfit, and I think they've captured the details really well. Again, this Black Series one is one I'm going to be picking up twice, one to keep in its box with that new packaging style, and one to open up.
We have a total of 5 different products to talk about from the Mandalorian series, starting off the Black Series Imperial Armored Commando, Mandalorian figure number 42, coming out in the Northern Hemisphere fall of this year. Pre-orders are available now. This Beskar Armored Imperial Trooper comes with 2 blasters and a unique jetpack that matches the rest of its armor design.
This isn't necessarily a character that I'm super excited about, but you kind of need some army builder characters from time to time. And of course, these were so sinister in that 3rd season of The Mandalorian. It's the perfect army builder for this show. So of course, it'll be fun to kind of pick up a few to build out scenes. This one is probably one that I'm going to hopefully catch on a sale because I know I'm going to need at least a couple of them.
The next one to talk about is one that I'm personally very excited about. This is a deluxe figure in the Black Series 6-inch line, IG-12 with Grogu, the Mandalorian figure number 41. It's a mainline figure coming out in the Northern Hemisphere fall of this year. Pre-orders are available now. This figure comes in the deluxe packaging and includes Grogu, 2 Anzellans, each of which of these 3 characters will fit into the chest of IG-12. This is a new IG sculpt overall with improved scale. It comes with an articulating chest that opens up to put in Grogu or an Anzellan, includes control levers. IG has some really interesting articulation overall, including articulation all the way down to his fingers.
This is such a fun figure. I didn't think we would actually see it this early. I thought it might be further down the line, but of course Grogu is central. This was a really fun and different way of Grogu being able to move around that was different to his hoverpod, and certainly it makes for a much more interesting action figure toy as well. I think it's interesting that Grogu is in such a different sculpt for this one, so Hasbro has had to do another sculpt of Grogu. He looks kind of a little thinner, so he can fit into the chest cavity properly, and I really like the fact that we've got not one but 2 Anzellan figures. I think they are so fun. I really like them in the show. The way that they sort of built IG and the way that they interact with Grogu is really funny. So I think this is really fun. And I like the fact that we've got an improved IG sculpt here as well. Kind of wish they'd go back and do IG-11 a little bit more accurately.
Yeah, so this package actually includes a total of 4 articulated characters. So it definitely overall qualifies as a deluxe product in my opinion. Moving from the Black Series to the Vintage Collection, we have a Deluxe Vintage Collection offering a Cobb Vanth and Mandalorian Armor VC343, a mainline product coming out in Northern Hemisphere fall of this year. Pre-orders are available now. He comes with a blaster pistol, a blaster rifle, a jetpack with flame effects, and importantly, an interchangeable, swappable helmet and head. Even more interesting than the figure itself, perhaps, is the fact that the packaging has reverted back to a bubble and a wider deluxe card back here.
I'm really happy to see that Hasbro has returned to putting deluxe figures on backing cards. Now we can see the figures rather than those blind plastic-free packaging boxes that we had. We've now got VC numbers. We've got the character profile image there on the backing card. Of course, now that we can see everything in the box, it does beg the question as to whether this really deserves to be a deluxe as opposed to a standard one. There's not a lot of difference here compared to some of the recent Mandalorian sort of army builder characters like the Fleet Commander that comes with jetpack and blasters and swappable heads. We have got a couple of flame effects, but I don't know that that necessarily bumps this up to a deluxe. I generally think of a deluxe as like a figure and a creature or a figure and a droid, something like that. But at least I do appreciate that we do have Cobb Vanth on a backing card like he should be rather than in a blind box. I was never a fan of those. I did get some flawed figures in those blind boxes, which I found really frustrating. I had a serious paint flaw on one of them, and of course I couldn't see that in the blind box. So really, really happy we're back to iconic carded figures for these deluxe versions.
I love Cobb Vanth as a character, and I'm really happy to see this version of him in the Vintage Collection line. I love that really beaten up version of the Boba Fett armor that he's wearing at the time with this sort of red undersuit. It's quite a unique appearance on screen. Now, we've got a lot to talk about in terms of this next reveal. The Vintage Collection Blurrg and Mandalorian figure. The Mandalorian figure will be VC335. This was revealed as a pipeline some time ago, but it's really fun to see full promotional images now. So this will be a fan channel and Amazon product coming out this year in the Northern Hemisphere. Full pre-orders are available already. This features in particular an updated Season 1 Mandalorian sculpt with, importantly, barbell hips. That's probably quite necessary to get him seated comfortably on the Blurrg. The Blurrg itself fits in the Razor Crest hold, which was a really interesting detail. He comes with an articulated mouth, articulated limbs, and an articulated tail.
This is one where I think I'm probably going to want it twice. We both love the Blurrgs. I love the creatures of Star Wars, but the box for this one includes Mandalorian on a unique backing card. So if you like collecting mint on card figures and like to open things up, I think this one would be a prime candidate to buy twice. One to open and then keep the figure on its backing card, and then another one to open to actually take the Mandalorian figure off the backing card and put on the Blurrg. That way you get 2 Blurrgs and 1 mint on card Mando and a Mando to put on it, because I kind of wish you could also buy the Blurrg just by itself, so you could sort of build up a little bit of a herd of Blurrgs.
Yeah, well, it actually kind of works really well in that regard, because you can end up with multiple Blurrgs, which works well for scene building. There's plenty of scenes where there are multiple Blurrgs. You can have Quill inserted into the scene. You can have them coming off the Razor Crest or whatever you feel you need. And you only need 1 Mandalorian. If you buy it more than once, you only need 1 Mandalorian figure to sit on. It doesn't make sense to have more than 1 Din Djarin.
And I like the fact that the Blurrg is so clearly visible on the backing card art as well. It's not like a tight crop in on the Mandalorian. I like that you can see the Blurrg's face on that one as well.
So it's quite
really cool card.
Yeah, quite clear what set it's associated with. So the Blurrg was one that we knew about for a while, and it was highly anticipated when we were counting down to seeing it in real life. This next one caught us a little bit off guard. The Vintage Collection Armorer's Forge playset with the Armorer VC331. This will be a Hasbro Pulse Disney Store exclusive coming in the Northern Hemisphere fall of this year. Pre-orders are available now. The Armorer figure includes a jetpack, soft goods. She is carded, and the card back includes tools, as well as tools being associated with the playset itself. The Grogu that comes with the playset is a unique sculpt with his chest rondelle visible, and the playset also includes an accessory case, anvil, tools, and a forge with translucent blue flames.
I really love the way that Hasbro has been diving into scene building and dioramas recently. It felt like for years all we got was figures. I really like this one. This one was so out of the blue, but I think it's so iconic. The Armorer doesn't do as much action. She doesn't come with blasters. So I really like that we've got her in this scene where she is at home with her forge, and she's got all of these accessories, her tools and things like that. There are so many important scenes where we sort of get important information while she is crafting armor. I think this is absolutely perfect. She is so iconic. I love all the accessories here. We've got Grogu with his little chest armor plate on. This is another one. I don't know. Am I going to buy this one twice? I don't know. I really like the backing card for the armor, but this is already becoming an expensive haul of figures that they have revealed. I don't know. I'm probably going to buy this one and then see what it's like out of the pack, because the actual scene itself doesn't lend itself to army building like a Blurrg does. But oh my gosh, I absolutely love this. And this is just going to be so cool to set up with other Mandalorian figures around.
One final figure reveal in the Vintage Collection line from the Jedi Survivor game. The Vintage Collection Jetpack Trooper VC336, a mainline figure coming out in fall of this year. He comes with a E11 blaster.
I remember back in the KOTOR era, around those mid to early 2000s, I would have done anything to get action figures and collectibles from my favorite Star Wars video game. So I'm really excited that Hasbro is continuing to release figures for their Gaming Greats line. This is another fun Imperial variant. I really like the different sort of Stormtrooper variants that we get in the video games. It sort of really mixes things up. Kind of reminds me of some of those fun variants we get in the comics as well. This is a really unique figure. I like the backing card. I don't know if I'm going to buy multiples of this one. It certainly does lend itself to army building because it is a trooper variant, but I'm definitely keen to get more gaming figures.
Now, personally, I always find the figure reveals quite interesting, but I am almost as excited about the pipeline reveals, hearing what's going to be coming down the line, even if we're only getting verbal information about them rather than a whole lot of pictorial information. So let's run through the Black Series reveals first. Coming in the pipeline in the Black Series from the Acolyte, we'll have Kelnaka the Wookiee. From the Mandalorian, Moff Gideon and his Dark Trooper outfit. Also from the Mandalorian, Moff Gideon's Praetorian Guard. From Ahsoka, we'll be seeing Anakin Skywalker in Clone Wars armor. Also from Ahsoka, a Phase 1 clone Captain Rex, the live-action version. Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, we'll be seeing Clone Commander Bakara. From the Clone Wars, a BX Commando droid. And very, very interestingly, from Shadows of the Empire, the old expanded universe, we'll be seeing Prince Xizor.
Like you said, I'm always really excited to see the pipeline reveals. No images, just pictures of the characters themselves rather than the figures, but these are super, super exciting. Personally, for me, I love seeing that we've got another figure being added to the Acolyte series. Kalnaka was on my wish list for Wave 2. I really like the 2 figures from Ahsoka, Anakin wearing his Clone Wars armor, and a version of Rex. These are 2 characters that are always popular. They haven't been done in Black Series for a while. They always tend to command high prices on the secondary market. And Shadows of the Empire. I saw a lot of chatter about this unexpected reveal. It's kind of old school. I really like jumping back. Of course, these pipeline reveals don't tell us what kind of packaging we're going to get. For Xizor, I don't know if this will be in a comic box, in one of those large-scale 6-inch backing cards, or in a standard box with the new style packaging in the Gaming Greats line. I don't know. I kind of want it to be in a comic box because, of course, when Shadows of the Empire came out, there was like a whole sort of multimedia campaign, books, comics, figures, the video game. So Hasbro could really pick and choose what they think is going to be the best one for this.
Yeah, I think I agree with those picks in terms of the most interesting ones to talk about. It is interesting that they are doing characters from the flashback scenes in the Ahsoka. That's a really cool way to incorporate some interesting versions of characters. That Clone Wars version of a slightly de-aged Anakin Skywalker, Hayden Christensen is great. I'm really looking forward to seeing that one and having a little bit of a scene building. I hope we get a younger version of Ahsoka too, frankly, down the line to go alongside him. But that Prince Xizor from the Shadows of the Empire, that is really, really interesting. And it's got to herald more characters from Shadows of the Empire, I would have to think.
It's an interesting choice because generally the cynical fans will say that Hasbro is trying to pick things from recent Disney Plus series or franchises that are kind of needing a push. Shadows of the Empire, now that is old school. That is not recent. A lot of the younger generation of fans will not know what this is. And there's so much unique tooling that will go into this figure. It's going to be an expensive one. Not like the Clone Wars Rex that was already going to use Clone Trooper armor. So it's a really interesting choice. And I kind of want to see them doing this more. There are so many old video games and old comics I would love to see figures from.
Also, technically in the Black Series, they revealed that we will be getting a Baylan Skull Force FX Elite lightsaber.
I really like the range of Force FX lightsabers from Hasbro. Here in New Zealand, they are a little bit more expensive compared to the price in American dollars, so I don't own as many as I wish I could, but I really like the new designs of Baylan and Shin Hati's lightsabers, so I'm very, very excited to see Baylan being announced. Fingers crossed, Shin Hati will also be added to the line. Very unique lightsabers, I think will be a fantastic addition to any lightsaber enthusiast collection.
Well, every time they've announced a Baylan Skull product, there has been an associated Shin Hati product. So I think there is a non-zero chance that we'll be seeing Shin's lightsaber down the line as well. TVC pipeline reveals included from the Acolyte Jedi Master Indara, also from the Acolyte Jedi Knight Yord Fandar, from Andor, Dedra Meero, so we're seeing her in the Black Series and the Vintage Collection, from the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, Obi-Wan himself, the Jedi Legend version. This is his version as he appears at the end of the series in the sort of mythos appearance, wanderer appearance. Number of figures from Ahsoka, the Phase 1 Clone Trooper Lieutenant, and the Mandalorian Super Commando, the Mandalorian.
I'm glad to see more characters from the Acolyte series showing up in the Vintage Collection line. When they first revealed all of the figures for the series, there were far more Black Series figures than TVC, so I'm glad to see a couple of the main characters showing up in the TVC, even if this is pipeline, so there'll be a little bit of wait. And personally, I'm very excited to see Dedra Meero in both Black Series and TVC being revealed here, and I love the Obi-Wan Kenobi in his sort of mythos desert wanderer look. I have the Sideshow statue that came out many years ago, so you know I'm definitely really excited about this Vintage Collection version of the figure.
Yeah, that Obi-Wan Kenobi version has been released as a Black Series, but it's really great to see him in the Vintage Collection line as well. And separately, because I think they know how well it's going to be received, they revealed that both Baylan Skull and Shin Hati will be joining the Vintage Collection line.
Again, I like that they always keep these two together. I think these are fantastic characters. I absolutely loved them in the Ahsoka series. I definitely cannot wait to get my hands on these vintage collection figures.
Yeah, having just recently rewatched the Ahsoka, it is really interesting to see how much screen time they get together as a pair throughout all the episodes. So yeah, really nice to have these in the vintage collection line. That was the final figure count for the reveals from San Diego Comic-Con from Hasbro. A lot that we're very much looking forward to, a lot that it's really nice to see physical versions of now, having heard about them for a while. And as I say, a number of these are available for pre-order already. There'll be links in the video description down below. Let us know which ones of these you're most looking forward to getting your hands on and putting on display in your collection.
I was so excited to see how many of these are slated to release later this year. I'm always a fan of seeing these coming through main channel for us here in New Zealand. That means that we're generally not having to import them. We'll be able to find them at our local toy stores as well. Really excited. There are so many picks here that I cannot wait to buy and potentially buy twice so that I can add carded versions and unboxed versions to my collection as well. A really exciting reveal here from Hasbro. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today as we excitedly recapped the Hasbro Pulse reveals from San Diego Comic-Con 2024. I hope you have a wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are in the galaxy, and let's hang out again very soon for more Star Wars fun. May the Force be with you. If you're a Hasbro Star Wars collector, we recently chatted about the HasLab Mos Eisley Cantina playset. That video is linked here in case you haven't already seen it, as well as our Star Wars collectible playlist. This is the way.